Welcome to Slumpbusters. It's time for another episode of Fantasy Versus, and we got two absolute playmakers, two absolute studs at the quarterback position, and two guys that will be very high in average draft position this year. But Drew Hagenbaugh, in your ranking, who's number one in your heart?
I got Lamar Jackson. He's my number 3. Kyler Murray just right behind him at the number 4. I love Lamar a lot. I think he's got the better offensive system, better coaching staff, better offensive line. For me, better consistency, and that matters because when I tell people how they should draft, like my little brother, he just drafted his first draft the other day. I said, go for guys with consistency. That's what wins you fantasy leagues. Yeah, you want big names, but consistency matters. And Lamar Jackson is that consistent guy, especially towards the end of the season. Compared to Kyler Murray, 10 games in, big bombs, doing his thing. But towards the end of the season, non-existent. For me, I just think Lamar's right there better than Kyler Murray.
I am inclined to agree with you because you mentioned it. Kyler Murray through 10 games, through 11 games consistently, over 20 fantasy points per game. However, later in the year, 5 out of his last 6 appearances, less than 20 points. Whereas Lamar Jackson, 6 of his last 7, over 20 points. I think just Lamar's offensive scheme just lends itself to be more consistent and more dynamic later in the season. Whereas I think that Kyler Murray, yes, there was a shoulder injury last year, but I think that Cliff Kingsbury offense is a little soft. It gets exposed a little bit later in the year. And I think that is one of the biggest detriments towards fantasy owners. Now, I will say one thing in Kyler's favor is that he does have a beautiful end of the year schedule as Detroit, Indianapolis, Dallas lineup. And that is fantastic. Those are cakewalk matchups compared to what Lamar has to face. But given the drop off last year, I think that is a cause for concern. And then other factors as well. Lamar Jackson had huge touchdown regression in 2020. Huge from 2019, his MVP season. Kyler Murray, 11 rushing touchdowns. Big jump from his rookie season when he had 4 rushing touchdowns. I think that's going to fall off. I think there's going to be touchdown regression for Kyler, and I think that's going to hit him a little bit harder in the fantasy department.
Yeah, and I agree. Like you said, 11 rushing touchdowns, that's a lot for a quarterback. And I think that number goes down. I could see him maybe getting 6, 7, but I don't see him hitting double digits again like he did. And a lot of it has to do with he was out scrambling about 99% of the time he was on the field because, well, the offensive line wasn't really doing their job protecting him. So he was running all over the place. And compared to Lamar Jackson, he only had 7 rushing touchdowns, but that was back-to-back seasons. So that shows, number one, that shows that consistency that he could still get 7 rushing touchdowns. But the big regression for Lamar was in the passing game where he had 36 touchdowns in 2019, only 26 in 2020. But I can see him this year getting around to that 30 touchdown margin again. Maybe not as 36, but maybe like 31, 32, maybe even 30. The schedule difference is huge, but Lamar's that veteran quarterback now who knows how to handle guys like Green Bay, Cincinnati, and the Rams, to where I think at that point it really wouldn't matter. I mean, a lot of it comes to great offensive line play, great coaching schemes. Hagenbaugh has a great scheme for him that's been working for the last couple of years. Kingsbury's scheme, like you said, gets soft towards the end of the year. Kyler gets eaten up. That offense gets swallowed up. And I just like Lamar Jackson's consistency. I just like the situations he's in a lot better than Kyler Murray is.
His ability to play make and the fact that the Ravens do just entrust him as a consistent rushing attempt leader on their team, I think is huge because I feel as though Kyler's rushing attempts, they're a lot more incidental. They're a lot more accidental than Lamar's. They're not necessarily design runs. I think Cliff Kingsbury likes to use Kyler's legs. I don't think that he's really designing runs in the same way that Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman, to elevate Lamar Jackson's rushing production.
Yeah, and again, that's the big difference too. Like you said, a lot of those runs that Lamar Jackson has isn't because the pocket's collapsing. It's because it's just a designed run from Greg Roman and Hagenbaugh for Lamar Jackson. They have a lot of those in that playbook compared to Kyler Murray, where his is more, well, the pocket breaks down as soon as he snaps the ball, so he has to run away. And he's not really much to throw on the run, so he just runs. And there's times where, he breaks for 20 yards or breaks for a big touchdown run, but a lot of Kyler Murray's schedule is facing some tough defenses along the way, and those defenses won't allow that to happen. Like you said, it's more or less designed for Lamar Jackson compared to Kyler Murray, and I think that's the big difference maker. And I think this year you're going to see the difference maker being the coaching staff, or the line talent compared to, just it being Lamar versus Kyler Murray at this point.
Exactly, and I'm inclined to agree. Anyways, Slumpbusters, let us know what you think. Are you leaning towards Lamar? Are you leaning towards Kyler? Are you preferring the true #1 dynamic rushing quarterback, Taysom Hill? Drop that below in the comments. Leave a like on this video, and of course, subscribe to our channel as we try and close in on that 2,000 subscriber mark before fantasy football season. We want you along for the ride because we want to help you win your league. If you need that boost in the morning, though, don't turn down promo code SLUMP, cavemancoffeeco.com. Come on, don't be a chump. Use promo code SLUMP at cavemancoffeeco.com. Juju Talk Sports, Drew Hagenbaugh. We'll see you next time.